Hello and good evening. So I hope that you're having a great week. I personally had really nice midweek already. And I came here tonight to talk about a subject that I had with one of my clients in one of the courses I am running right now. The Quantum Transformation course, which will be soon available for you to register as soon as I've finished the whole course. And the question that came up was related to, not being afraid of being who you are and not having to go into pleasing mode and wanting to blend in, and therefore just forgetting to, not really forgetting, but it's like putting your personality on the side so that you can blend in and agree with people that you don't agree with, or behave in such a way that is so far away from who you really are so that you can get acceptance and being approved by others. And this is not a good place to be. If you want to shine your light, this is the opposite, right? And why do people do this? Is because they're afraid that they're going to come across as too weird, too different, too and they might be too off-putting for some people. So who cares? So that's my answer. Meaning, you need to start by approving of yourself. And that's what really matters the most. And again, I'm not saying to be rude and be impolite and hurtful towards people, but it's more about not being afraid of owning who you are and just embrace your personality. And those who are going to resonate with you, they will just be attracted to your vibrations, your energy, your aura, your charisma, your magnetism. And I gave the example, and I'm giving you tonight as well, the example of I went to a birthday last week, and someone asked me, because they were my previous colleagues from banking, finance, investment banking, a conservative environment, blah blah blah, and I used to work in that space. And the question that came up was, well, how do people react in a way that, they might think you're crazy? And I'm like, no, why would they? Because I don't even talk to people like this anyway. And I don't even talk about topics that someone is not open to. Why would I? I don't want to waste my breath and my energy and my time because I value them. And what was happening is that person was projecting her own fear on me and wanted to know how I would react, because she was actually quite keen on these topics where it comes to energy and healing and the intangible aspect of life. But she was herself afraid of how people might react. And my answer comforted her and reassured her to some extent. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, right? So, and I know that once upon a time I would have been uncomfortable myself talking about what I do, because I had issues with my own self. I didn't feel who I was something I could be. I felt out of the norm. I felt different, and I didn't have the strength and the belief at the time to just assert myself for who I was. Today it's different, and because I feel differently about myself, I did introduce myself as the coach and the healer. And actually what happened is a lot of people were genuinely interested. They got even inspired and they wanted to know more, not out of a low vibration, but they were genuinely interested because they also know me also, from a personal, as a friend. So it kind of created a vibe that I wouldn't have been able to create back then, when I was insecure about myself, when I felt weird and too different, and like, I'm not going to say anything. So now that I do accept myself, and I love myself in a way that I was not able to do before, things are reflected to me also differently. So here is my feedback for you, my recommendation. Once you start to accept yourself for who you are and fall in love with who you are as a person, people will reflect this back to you. And most of the time, this is what happens. What you get reflected back at you from your environment is actually how you feel about yourself. If someone is not respecting you, it's because you're not respecting yourself, or you allow people not to respect yourself. When you start asserting yourself, having firm boundaries within yourself and towards people, this no longer happens because you don't leave any energetical space for this to happen. So pay attention to how you feel about yourself, and what's coming back is a feedback on how you feel about yourself, whether you know it or not. So blending in is something that I've seen a lot of people do. And I won't say it's because they don't have personality. It's actually not that. It's because they are too afraid of not being accepted, because they really want that love and acceptance, because they haven't given it to themselves, so they are seeking it from others. So this is my recommendation. If you are like this, do some inner work and start giving yourself the approval and the acceptance that you so want from others. Because when you have it, you don't really care whether they will give it to you or not, because you have yours. And you know what? The funny thing is, when you don't really care, this is actually when you get it. It's because you don't come from that place of neediness and low vibrations anymore, and not enoughness. When you come from a place of self-love, self-acceptance, this is what you get back. And if someone is acting a little weird, you're just like, okay, fine, we're different. That's okay. Because you don't need them to like you and accept you to feel validated, because you validate yourself. So that is important. This is something I would highly recommend you to practice. It's not easy for some people who have spent their lives trying to adapt and have kind of mold themselves to please others. Don't do this. And practice it. Practice it with yourself. Like, what do you like about yourself? What do you feel comfortable doing with yourself? It's crazy to see how many people are actually not accepting of themselves, and that's sad. That's a shame. So I would highly recommend you to start doing this, and because that's where everything starts. Your relationship with yourself on all levels. So that was my word for today. My theme, I feel it's quite important, because a lot of people don't even know that that's what they're doing, because they never really asserted themselves ever, because they've been squashed for most of their lives. So start getting to know yourself, start embracing yourself, start showing up in a way that you are not afraid of just being. And that is life-changing. That takes you to a whole new level, and as a result, it's going to also attract different type of people as well around you. People who are more connected, who are more in touch with themselves, who are genuine towards you and themselves, and it's a whole new vibe. So this is what I want for you, because it's about enhancing the vibrations around us, and things get better and happier. And that's one way of contributing to make the world a better place, right? So before we go to that scale, just start being happy with who you are. Step one. Like that guy said, if you want to make an impact in the world, start making your bed in the morning. So it's the same thing. Start with yourself, and then the rest will follow. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to wish you a good night, and I will speak to you in my next video. Bye bye.